Good morning and welcome to Ecosummit on Sustainable Ecosystem for a Greener Future. It is truly a pleasure to see such a diverse and enthusiastic gathering. Today, we gather not just as individuals but as a collective force driven by the pursuit of knowledge and the quest for excellence. I'm honored and delighted to have our distinguished guest speakers for today, Dr. R. Raghavendra Rao and Ms. Shubha Ramachandran. We are privileged to be in the presence of individuals whose expertise, insights, and experiences are invaluable. Their willingness to share the time and insights with us reflects their commitment to advancing knowledge, inspiring change, and fostering growth within our community. So, let's extend our heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guest speakers for gracing us with their presence. We welcome you, sir. We welcome you, ma'am. It gives me a great pleasure to welcome Dr. Sister Mary Louisa, Principal of Jyotirniwas College Autonomous. We are grateful for the opportunity to learn under your guidance and leadership. Your dedication to fostering a supportive and inclusive learning environment ensures that each student feels valued and empowered to succeed. We welcome you, sister. It is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Carol Stanley, IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Lata D, Controller of the Examination, Dr. Rupa Philip, Dean of Postgraduation Program, Dr. Priyadashini Pillai, HOD, Department of Botany and Coordinator of MSc Biological Sciences, Dr. Vinita Arbata, Assistant Professor and HOD of Department of Geology and Genetics, Dr. Sophia D, Assistant Professor, HOD, Department of Biochemistry, Ms. Mohana, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany. Last but not the least, I welcome all the participants for this event. I encourage each of you to actively participate, to share your insights, and explore new horizons. Once again, a heartfelt welcome to each and everyone. May today's seminar be a source of inspiration and enlightenment. No auspicious event starts without lighting of lamp. We request our distinguished guest speaker, Dr. R. Raghavendra Rao, Ms. Shubha Ramachandran, Dr. Sister Mary Louisa, Dr. Carol Stanley, or Dr. Priyadashini Pillai, Dr. Vinita Arbata, Dr. Sophia D, to come onto the stage and light the lamp. I also request Lata ma'am to come onto the stage to light the lamp.
Okay.
Now, I would like to call upon Ruchita to lead us into the prayer.
Of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, the guide of all who seek wisdom, the fount of intelligence, and the inspiration of learning. Dear Almighty and ever loving God, we glorify and thank Thee for your name. You have showered us with so much blessings and your guidance. We implore your loving guidance and request you to extend your divine wisdom to our speakers so that they may impart the God given knowledge to all of us. May we also absorb the valuable knowledge and experiences and put them into practice. We ask that you will strengthen us, restore us, and inspire us with your love and light. Lord, would you fill us with your peace so that we would pour out your love and grace to the world? May you bestow your blessing throughout and after this seminar in the spirit of our Lord and Savior. May we realize that this activity should glorify in your guidance. Amen.
Thank you, Ruchita, for that soulful prayer. Once again, I extend a hearty welcome to our distinguished guest speaker, to Dr. Raghavendra Rao and Shubha Ramachandran to accept that token of appreciation. I also extend a hearty welcome to our principal, Dr. Sister Mary Louisa, to accept that token of gratitude. I also extend a hearty welcome to Dr. Carol Stanley, IQAC coordinator, to accept that token of gratitude. It's my pleasure to welcome Dr. Lata V, controller of the examination. Please accept that token of gratitude. Now, I call upon Pratika to brief us about Ecosummit objectives.
We need the blue to keep the green. Very good morning to our respected dignitaries, teachers, and my dear friends. Welcome to our Botany Eco Summit on Sustainable Ecosystems for a Greener Future organized by the Department of Botany and MSc Biological Sciences, Jyotinevas College, Autonomous. I am honored to stand before you today as we gather to address one of the most pressing issues of our time, sustainable development and ecological awareness. Our planet faces unprecedented challenges from climate change to the biodiversity loss, and it is imperative that we come together to find sustainable solutions for a better future. The United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, serve as a roadmap for addressing these challenges and building a more equitable and sustainable world for all. These goals encompass a wide range of objectives from eradicating poverty and hunger to promoting clean energy and responsible consumption. However, achieving the SDGs requires more than just government action. It requires the collective effort of individuals, communities, businesses, and organizations worldwide. Each and every one of us has a role to play in advancing sustainable development and protecting our planet for future generations. The health of our planet is at a tipping point. From deforestation and habitat destruction to pollution and climate change, human activities are placing immense strain on our delicate ecosystems. The consequences of these actions are far reaching, affecting everything from biodiversity and wildlife populations to human health and livelihoods. But in the middle of the challenges, there is hope. By increasing awareness and understanding of ecological problems, we can empower individuals and communities to take action and make a positive difference. Each and every one of us has a role to play in protecting and preserving our planet for future generations. Sustainability is about finding balance between our needs and the needs of the planet, between our present actions and their long term consequences. It's about living in harmony with nature, recognizing that we are part of a delicate ecosystem that depends on the responsible stewardship of resources. Today, as we gather to raise awareness about ecological problems and threats, let us also celebrate the power of sustainable living. Whether it's reducing our carbon footprint, conserving resources, or supporting eco friendly initiatives, every action we take towards sustainability makes a difference. We must recognize that the choices we make today will impact the world we leave behind for our children and grandchildren. By embracing a sustainable way of life, we can create a future where people and planet thrive in harmony. Together, we have the power to shape a brighter future for all. Let us seize this opportunity to create a world where sustainable development is not just a goal but a way of life. Throughout this Eco Summit, we have the privilege of hearing from our distinguished resource persons who will share their expertise on biological diversity and bioprospection for human welfare and sustainable water management. Thank you for joining us in this important endeavor. Let us commit to being stewards of the environment and champions for challenge. Together, we can create a brighter, greener, and more sustainable world for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Pratika, for the introduction. I call upon Hema onto the stage to give us overview of Botany Fest.
Good morning to one and all. The Botanical Fest Naturalium, the word itself symbolizes us something close to nature. The fest was conducted by the students of the Botany Club to bring out all the fun-filled science activities. It was held from the 5th of October 2023 to the 7th of October 2023. On average, about 40 students participated in various activities like quiz, escape room, crossword, photography, sketching, debate, and poster making that had unique themes and topics. The fest was designed with events that were immersed with the wonders of nature. The students of the Botany Club ensured that all the activities were done with the best efforts to make it a successful event. Uh, we had the first and second place winners for the events, and today they will be receiving the certificates at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Hema, for running us through all the events held by the Botany Department. Let's together watch a video about achievements of Department of Botany.
Welcome to the Department of Botany, where a dedicated team is focused on advancing ecosystem sustainability through multi-faceted research and community-driven initiatives. Our groundbreaking research encompasses studies on the carbon footprint of educational institutions, university expel, air pollution tolerance, and soil quality assessments. We actively collaborate with communities through outreach activities on urban sustainability development and tree census projects aiming to extend our impact beyond academy. The students of botany participated in the tree census at Lower Ambalipuram under the program of sustainability of ecosystem and urban spaces under the guidance of Kavita N. Kishore and Dr. Priyadarshini. This interior was also covered by the minister. We also participated in the BBMP Forest Department Tree Census 5 project and enriching interior guided by a team including Ms. Indra Elde, founder of People's Corporation, and Dr. Priyadarshini. Our commitment to knowledge, exchange, and innovation is evident through events like the Intellectual Property Awareness or Training Program under the National Intellectual Property Awareness Mission, National Workshop on Intellectual Property Rights and Entrepreneurship Development, National Seminar come Exhibition on Millets and celebration of the International Year of Millets 2023 and so on. Expert talks on kitchen gardening and mushroom cultivation, along with the short-term certificate courses on intellectual property rights, gardener, nursery, and horticulture techniques contribute to a holistic learning experience. We also conducted an informative talk on the impact of taxonomic knowledge on the success of tissue culture initiatives in horticulture to depict the current applications of taxonomy. 2 volumes of our botany newsletter, Phytochiva, have been released, capturing the department's interior and achievements. We actively participated in the Go Green Plantation Drive on World Environment Day 2022, reflecting our commitment to environmental sustainability. Our students gained hands-on training on techniques to create herbarium, including a visit to the Foundation for Revitalization of Local Health Traditions Center under the University of Transdisciplinary Health Sciences and Technology in Bangalore, which houses a diverse array. Our students were also taken on an educational visit to the scenic Camp Shrishti, where the students fostered meaningful connections and actively engaged in the collection of plant samples for their herbarium. Finally, BCB students showcased the exemplary skills and expertise at the prestigious grand finale of the Smart India Hackathon held in Jaipur. This invaluable experience provided them with a platform to demonstrate their innovative problem-solving abilities and technical proficiency in tackling real-world challenges. The Department of Life Sciences organized innovative idea competition in collaboration with Carbon Hubs, showcasing a plethora of brilliant ideas aimed at addressing environmental and societal challenges. A polymer's chamber in the botany garden was established, providing students with a dedicated space to cultivate plants and engage in hands-on learning experiences. On select days, students showcase their efforts by selling the plants. The digital flora Prakriti released by our second-year students provide essential information about plant species through QR codes, ensuring quick access to details without the need for printed materials. The Student Club of Botany organized Lunch Museum, Botanical Fest, where an array of events were conducted ranging from quizzes to sketching and photography. Apollo Tigers organized an environment and nature quiz, promoting awareness on biodiversity and mangrove conservation. Students from final year botany participated and gained a lot of environmental experience that enriched their academic journey and prepared them for future endeavors. In conclusion, the Department of Botany plays a pivotal role in shaping a greener and more resilient future through research, education, and community collaboration. Thank you for your attention.
Now, I would like to call Dr. Priyadarshini Pillai, HOD, Department of Botany and Coordinator of MSc Biological Sciences, to introduce our first speaker of the day, Dr. R. Raghavendra Rao.
My privilege and honor to introduce an eminent person in the field of botany, Dr. R. Raghavendra Rao. Currently, he is serving as an honorary guest faculty at JSS Academy of Science, Mysuru, and holds the position of INSA Honorary Scientist. With a distinguished career, Dr. Rao formerly served as Associate Professor at NDHU Shillong, Joint Director at the Botanical Survey of India, and Director Grade Scientist at NBRI and CMAP. He is also a CSIR Emeritus Scientist
INSA Honorary Scientist, Pitambar Pant National Environment Fellow, Chairman of the Karnataka State Environmental Appraisal Committee, President of the Society of Ethnobotanists, President of Indian Botanical Society, and an Executive Council member at Sikkim Central University. A big round of applause for sir. Dr. Rao, a distinguished expert in plant taxonomy, ethnobotany, phytogeography, medicinal and aromatic plants, and biodiversity and conservation. Over 50 years of professional experience, his remarkable contributions includes 250 research papers, 14 scientific books, four technical books, and guiding 30 scholars to complete their PhDs. In view of the immense research contributions of Dr. Rao, naturally several awards, distinctions, and recognitions have already been bestowed to him. He has received on 40 awards and medals. A few of them are Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Memorial Lifetime Achievement Award by National Academy of Biological Sciences 2022. Indian Botanical Society's Lifetime Achievement Award by Indian Botanical Society 2022. Considering the immense contributions of Dr. Rao in plant taxonomy, 9 new taxa are named after him and described by various scientists of the country. On behalf of the Yoginivas College Management, Principal, Department of Botany and Biological Sciences, we welcome you, sir, to share your knowledge on biological diversity and bioprospection for human welfare, a priority agenda for the 21st century. Thank you very much for being with us, sir. Over to you.
A very good morning to all of you. I'm very happy to be in this beautiful college for the first time. Although I have visited almost all colleges in Bangalore, this college first time I'm visiting. I never knew that I have to speak for a very short while. When I gave the topic, biological diversity and bioprospection, I had my mind that I can speak for at least 1.5 hours. And but now that I will have to cut off many of my slides, I will only try to confine to some of the salient things at the BSc level you can understand. And perhaps some other time we can talk. This is a very fascinating subject, very fascinating area to know. But one thing is, yeah, problem is there that I may not condense this. That's a very difficult thing. The title which I have told you is for human welfare, biological diversity and bioprospection. Now, what is biological diversity? Many of us are very familiar. Yes, the variety of life, the variety of living organisms in a given region is biological diversity, which I have shown all around the different kinds of habitats. If we in evergreen forest or an alpine forest, all that will support the biological diversity. Now, this slide also shows biodiversity. This is from the net I have taken. BSc students, at least you should know what is diversity. Diversity is nothing but the variety of life forms in a given region. So, for example, there is a tiger, there is an elephant, there is a mollusca, there is a pine forest. Everything is there. Collectively, that is biodiversity. Or you can also, it is the same family, Papiliaceae, there is one family. In the same family, the amount of diversity, different genera and species, that is the diversity. Diversity can be measured in terms of a particular location. It could be a state, it could be a country, it could be a global level, or a small campus level. or it could be the same family, or it could be within the genus, one genus, Utricularia, within the genus Utricularia, the number of different species that cause the diversity. I hope you understand. Or within the same species, the amount of variation. Yes, same species, you will find lot of variation. So that is what is called infra-specific diversity. In our country, we have not studied infra-specific diversity. We are only talking of diversity in terms of species, number of species. 20,000 species are there in flowering plants. So we are not satisfied with counting the number of plants or number of species in a given region and say that is. Please remember, biodiversity is not a game of numbers. It is the sum total of diversity. Therefore, what I suggest is infra-specific diversity. If you have to attend, even after 500 years, perhaps we may not be able to complete this. Tremendous amount of diversity we have in our country. I will very quickly go through some of these things. Now, this diversity, this figures, just what I have given is, I think I will skip some of these things, is nothing to do. There is no sanctity in the figure. Every time this figure goes on changing, more and more botanical exploration, yes, the number goes on increasing. So therefore, only to give an idea how many flowering plants are there, how many pteridophytes are there in our country. But that is only a rough estimate, but not infra-specific diversity, only the number only. And I will skip some of these things. I will skip now in terms of, since I have given very little time. Why there is so much of diversity in our country? It is because of Indian region is also considered as the Hindustani center of origin of cultivated plants, number one. And it is the cradle of flowering plants. It is Indian region is considered to be a cradle of flowering plants where angiosperms have not only originated but diversified. So that is another plus point for our country. And 50% of the global aquatic biodiversity we find. Every alternate aquatic plant, what we find, aquatic plants means in the water and all that what we grow. Every alternate plant is an Indian plant. So that is the richness of our diversity we have. And all this diversity is scattered. I do not know how many of you can see these things, but look at this. All these diversity is scattered in 3 or 4 regions. Number one is Himalaya. I will take you to Himalaya so that at least you can enjoy some beautiful photos. Himalaya and Western Ghats, Northeast India, and Andaman and Nicobar Island. All these areas I will not be able to cover today. Perhaps I may restrict only to the Himalayas. At least you can see some of the important plants of the Himalaya, the biological systems there, and then we'll see. And these areas are also, we call them as hotspots. Now, what is a hotspot? Remember, hotspots are areas where there is high concentration of native flora, but at the same time, there is severe anthropogenic disturbances. So much so, 70% of the original forests are destroyed. Those areas where 70% of the original forests have gone, it is a hotspot. And we have 4 hotspots in our country. That means we should feel sorry to say that in 4 places, 70% of the original forests we have already lost. When you talk of the Western Ghats, it is considered to be hottest hotspot because 90% of the original forest has gone. So therefore, it is considered to be hottest hotspot, for which we should all feel sorry to say that. Now, I think all these slides I'm skipping because it is not required for you, but understand. But hotspot concept indicates that we should give priority to conservation. These are the areas immediately we should protect and conserve those areas. I have tried to add sacred forests also to conservation. Although under the strict application of the criteria, sacred forests do not come under hotspots. But I have tried to include sacred forests also because the sacred forests in our country have become death traps. Sacred forests are forests which are all protected due to religious beliefs. But unfortunately, in the present generation itself, the religious beliefs have eroded. So therefore, sacred forests have become death traps, and that's why I try to include this also in our this. Why there is so much of concentration, rich flora in our country? You should all know that India is the only country where there is almost all kinds of habitats you can think of on this globe. Whatever habitat you can think of, we get in India. That is the plus point for us. Highest altitude known for a flowering plant is in India. Lowest rainfall area is in our country. Highest rainfall area is in our country. Anything you talk, superlative, wonderful area. So we have all these diverse ecological conditions. Gondwana connection. Gondwana is in the geologic part. All the continents were united. So therefore, all the southern continents, including India, Africa, South America, Australia, all these continents had one huge landmass, and therefore Gondwana connection has contributed significantly elements from all these countries to our country. So all these have added a very rich flora in our country. I am skipping all these things. Anyway, never mind. These different colors indicate different vegetation types in our country, forest types in our country, or habitat types in our country where there is high concentration. Now, for example, Trans-Himalaya, to take this top one, point is not working. Anyway, the Trans-Himalaya at the top, understand there is high concentration of different kinds of flora, but it is a cold desert region of our country. What is cold desert region? In that region, extreme harsh climate. The temperature goes almost minus 40 degree temperature during night, and during diurnal temperature, normal 40 degree temperature. So fluctuation is so great, even the rocks get cracked. And that's the reason this region is called the land of the rock region. There is no rock at all, everything gets cracked. Such a harsh climate, Ladakh, clouds within all these areas in the extreme north, we have cold desert. In such kind of cold deserts, what kind of flora we get? We get in the extreme right side, you can see some cushion forming or the hemispherical cushion, what clump forming or cushion forming type of plants. We find only typical plants. This area is covered by snow for almost 7 months in a year. 20 feet snow is covered. And these plants survive this 20 feet snow. And when the snow melts, again they flower, produce seeds, and then the reproductive cycle starts. So what makes these plants to survive under that extreme harsh climate, 20 feet covered by snow, but still they are living? Are there special genes? Can we harvest those genes, transfer those genes to some of the common plants so that even you can grow onion, tomato, paddy, and all those things in the region? Now, this is the kind of thinking, utilization of bioresources we should try to think, and that possibility, I think, the biotechnologists should think of in the coming. These are all the habitats that we find. Say, for example, the plants look like this in the extreme harsh climate. I am going very fast because the time is allotted is very little for me. This is the highest altitude known for a flowering plant is this, Christolia himalayensis, 6,000 meter, 6,300 meter, where Guinness Book record is this plant. This is a wonderful plant, it grows. Now, what makes this plant to grow into that height? Now, this is a record of some 200 years old. Today, you go and survey this area, whether the plant has come down or the distribution has gone up. If the distribution has gone up in the Himalaya, that clearly indicates that the temperature has raised. So you can study climate change also. You making use of the altitudinal distribution of plants, we can study climate change also. So for this is a good example in our country. Now in the West Himalaya, we have enormous amount of what is called the alpine flora. What is alpine flora? Alpine plants are very unique plants. Very unique plants. They are all ephemeral. Ephemeral means they complete their life cycle in 10 days, 15 days time, finish off their life cycle. Ephemeral, number one. Number two is flowers are very attractive and conspicuous compared to the size of the plant. Number three, they are all gregarious in flowering. What is gregarious in flowering? Once a particular species on a particular date it flowers, throughout the region it flowers, the whole population flowers. So therefore, there is a kind of rhythm in flowering in the ephemeral plants. In the valley of flowers, particularly this is the valley of flowers, the right hand middle one, the valley of flower is a very paradise. It is a paradise for botanical scientists. Why? Because it is so beautiful that when you go there, colorful flowers. Wherever you go, colorful flowers you get, and sometimes you don't find even to walk on this. It is a beautiful paradise. And every day, the rhythmic flowering is there. Once potentilla flowers, whole area will be red. The entire valley will be red carpet. Next day, the flower dies off and comes, the corridor comes and with yellow flower. Whole day it will be yellow carpet. Third day you go, there will be gentiana in flower, whole it will be blue carpet. So depending upon the flowering of the species, the carpet changes. So therefore it is a very, that's called the paradise. Now my question is, we are not interested in it's a beautiful plant, all right. It is a beautiful valley, all right. How best we can utilize this? My purpose is what is the use for a humankind? What is the use for a mankind? Now, my purpose is how to utilize this. The question is, the whole argument is this now. We have beautiful set of plants in our country, but how can we utilize? That is the question. This valley was also found a place in the garden, it is said to be the garden of Indra. It is, you may not believe all that, but what I'm telling is, it is said to be a garden of Indra, where during full moon days, fairies dance in that valley of flower. Now that's all a story, we don't want it, but only to say, the paradise is so beautiful, the valley is so beautiful. Now my point is, how best I can utilize this? Now, there are plants like Sanjeevani, medicinal plants like Sanjeevani. What is that Sanjeevani? Many of you must be knowing in Ramayana, Lord Hanuman goes to collect Sanjeevani plant. Why did he go? All the way from Sri Lanka, he comes to collect Sanjeevani plant because Lakshman was unconscious. So Lord Ram orders he go and bring Sanjeevani plant. I think you all know the story of Ramayana. So he comes all the way and he was not able to identify, and he takes the mountain, a piece of mountain takes there. And when he goes back to Sri Lanka, Lord Ram says that we go back the whole mountain, the all plants will die here. He was conservation conscious fellow. So then he orders him, please take it and put it back after taking the Sanjeevani plant. Lord Hanuman again takes that mountain and then starts going back. While going, he can't, he thinks that Lord Ram is not correct because war is going on now and my presence is needed there in Sri Lanka rather than putting this mountain back in the same place. So he throws that mountain and goes. That mountain is supposed to be the Gandhamardhan Parvat in Vaisla, where there is a similar flora that we find in the Himalaya. Now, this may be a story. What I want to attract you is that you may believe, you may not believe, but during the epic days of Ramayana, people knew that the place is known for highly important medicinal plants like Sanjeevani. Now my question is, what is the Sanjeevani? Sanjeevani is that miraculous plant which can bring back to life almost a dead person. A person is in coma, you put this plant and you will start playing football. So that is the effect of the Sanjeevani plant. So it is a miraculous property. That kind of plants are there in the Valley of Flowers. Very wonderful alpine plants having miraculous properties. How many plants we have been able to bring back to human welfare? How many products we have been able to bring back to human welfare? Not a single. So this is where we feel unhappy. One side we are happy because our flora is so rich and unique flora. The other side we should feel unhappy because we are not being able to utilize our flora. The adjacent our friend in China, that fellows have already brought 200 products in the market, but we have not been able to bring. It's a strong competitor. Remember, in the coming days, it is well known that the biodiversity rich nations are going to rule the world, not the dollar rich nations like America. So therefore, since we are having a very rich biodiversity, we are going to rule the world. But we cannot say that we have a rich biodiversity and put an iron fence all around and say we are rich, we are going to rule. No. Unless you convert the biological wealth into economic wealth, India cannot become strong. So therefore, what is needed today is converting the economic wealth, the biological wealth into economic wealth or the monetary wealth. How do we do that? It is only by bioprospection. Now, what is bioprospection? I will come very quickly. Now, these are all the stories of Raman. I'm skipping all these things. The DRDO people have been able to identify, making use of the ethnic knowledge, what is called the solo. Even Honorable Prime Minister also made a reference to this plant some time back. I do not know how many of you have heard. So he says that there is a plant called solo, ethnic knowledge, the Ladakhi people, and this plant is a unique plant which has got the nullifying effect of gamma radiation. A wonderful medicinal plant. Such plants should be taken up for bioprospection and product development. Product development, when I say at the global level product, not at the regional level products. I think this is that plant. This is the modern Sanjeevani plant which the DRDO people call rhodiola valenciana. All these slides will be there. All these slides the students can copy, make use of that. There is no problem. Anybody wants to make use of that, we can. But understand the importance of our biodiversity in our country. Now, we surveyed the Valley of Flowers when I was in the botanical survey. These are all the highly rich medicinal plants. A big list is there, I will not read. Highly important medicinal plants are there, but we have not been able to convert even one medicinal plant into a product. Now, when you come down, temperate forest, you have temperate conifers, temperate broadleaf forest. In the altitude, it's all donation of vegetation. And in the undergrowth, we have what is called the plant, this blue flower, the plant, Aconitum. Aconitum valpurae, Aconitum heterophyllum, these are all the species, highly important medicinal plant. The tubers cost 4,000 rupees a kg, 4,000 rupees 1 kg, and because of that, the plant has become extremely rare. Now, converting the biological, how do we do that? Biotechnology, our knowledge of biotechnology is so vast in our country. Everybody is talking of biotechnology these days. Why don't you go take this plant, multiply this in truckload, multiply this truckload and make money? You become rich, country becomes rich. Why should you not do this? Unfortunately, biotechnology do not know a plant like this occurs in the Himalayas. That's the one major problem. I hope I'm going very fast. Now there is also, I think this may not be able to relish this, but at least you should know. Scotland, there are I think only one boy is there, perhaps. Yeah, Scotland is famous for Scotch whiskey. Scotch whiskey means it is highly intoxicating, psychoactive property it has got. When you take that whiskey, you will be floating. So that is the Scotland. And that Scotland is taking money from both hands because it is ruling the beverage world today. Please, students should understand. They are ruling the beverage world today, making so much money, making from out of one beverage drink, which is an alcoholic drink. And our information, the Indian information, the Vedic information is 5,000 years old, where there is mention of what is called Somras of Soma. What is that Soma or Somras? Somras is highly intoxicating, highly invigorating, highly tonic thing. Wonderful. It has got a high intoxicating effect, Somras. Now it is said that those people who are not able to afford Soma during the epic days, they were going behind the people who have taken this Soma. Whenever they used to urinate, they used to collect their urine and drink. Why? Because it is said the active principle, the psychoactive principle in Somras passes through the alimentary system of human beings almost unmetabolized. That means what property the Soma has, the same property it has urine. So such a wonderful tonic drink we had, and people were even prepared to drink urine because of the craze of this Soma. That was the craze, but we have forgotten our plant. We don't know what is that plant. We do not know the technology. And there are 27 species are said to be the surrogates of Soma. We don't know. Suppose we resurrect our plant, we resurrect the technology, we can knock off the monopoly of Scotland and India can become rich. One plant can change the economy of the country. We don't need 8,000 species to change the economy of the country. I think this is the one. So there are so many plants, as I said. And say, for example, the right and middle one, we can just only say all are important medicinal plant. I will only touch one side. That is a plant supposed to have been planted by Adi Shankaracharya near Badrinath. Now, if that is the true, the Shankaracharya lived in 7th century BC. If that is the case, this is the oldest tree we have in our country. Oldest tree we have in our country. Now, what makes this particular tree to survive for such a long period? Is there any elite gene in this? We take that gene. Let us take that, harvest that gene. Now the technology is available. Harvest the gene and put it in some of the common plants or even in human beings so that the senescence can be postponed. You can live for 500 years, 300 years, 200 years. Why should you not live this? It may appear to be a fiction at this time, but a day may come that possibility will also be there. So therefore, the moment you see a property in any plant, your mind should immediately come into that, not writing the description of the plant, which all these years we have done. We don't want description now. What we need is how best I can utilize that property so that human beings can get benefit. That property to come. So postponement of the senescence we can I think of from this plant. There are, our friend also talked in the morning, there are large number of rhododendrons in our country. Rhododendrons, very beautiful rhododendrons. As far as I said, means most of them are trees. Trees, and except for black color, all colors of rhododendrons you will find in the Himalayas, except for black color. When there are trees, how many of them we have been able to bring under man-made setting? None. What is the problem? Absolutely, I don't understand what is the problem. I do not know. There is no agro technology. There is no cultivator trial. Nursery techniques is not developed. But you go and appreciate, oh, beautiful plant, beautiful plant. We don't need beautiful plant. How I can make money from the beautiful plant? Now develop agro technology, nursery technique to develop and sell this. If you go to man-made settings everywhere, so that you become rich, country becomes rich. Develop entrepreneurship. So there are, I think I'm showing quickly some of those slides. Beautiful, almost 100 species of rhododendrons are there. And you go to any of the European nursery, whether it is Royal Botanic Garden, Kew or the Royal Botanic Garden, Edinburgh particularly, if you go, huge nurseries are there of rhododendron. They sell our rhododendron, each seedling for 10 pounds. What is 10 pounds? Is 1,000 rupees. So one seedling they are selling for 1,000 rupees and making money. What are we doing? We are making beautiful photographs and put it on the seminar room and say, this is our plant. Nobody has got. And this I have been telling for last 100 years. Nothing else beyond that. I think there is a need to change the attitude towards the utilization purpose. All these plants are very beautiful, worth introducing directly into the man-made setting. Very quickly I will come. And in the eastern Himalaya, we have large number of bamboo forests. Bamboo forests are all cereal communities. What is a cereal community? Your ecologists must have talked. What is a cereal community? When you cut off the forest, abandon the area for 50, 60, 70 years, the vegetation comes up, and that is a cereal community. And it is not a climax vegetation, but it is only a cereal community. And northeastern region is I told in the beginning, it is a hottest hotspot. 90% of the original forests are destroyed. So therefore, most of the areas we find forests like this bamboo forest, and bamboo is the only species that comes to the service of man from cradle to cremation. Baby is born, bamboo is needed. When man dies, again state is needed. So therefore, all these, of course, I'm skipping again some of these things. And very beautiful plants are there. Very nice plants are there. Say, for example, extreme down. I do not know how many of you can see. I'm sorry, I cannot help it. But extreme down is a very beautiful plant, and it is a rootless, leafless, stemless parasite. No root, no leaf, no stem. Only when it flowers, you will come to know. And the flower is so big, it measures almost 30 to 40 centimeter in diameter. Very big flower, very attractive. But you cannot go nearer to this plant because very foul smelling, extremely foul smelling. Now identify the genes. Identify the genes responsible for the foul smelling. Take those genes and put it in some of the common plants that can be grown all along the Indo-Pakistan border. So use the plant for biological warfare. That is possible again. So utilizing our bioresources, I think that can be done. I'm skipping all some of these things because I have look at the rhododendrons. All are rhododendrons. Different rhododendrons. Different species of rhododendron. This is all rhododendron. Not one has come under the man-made setting, right? Orchids again. Madam, I don't mind whenever my time is over, just tell me, I will stop because I don't want the next program to suffer. Orchids are a very beautiful group of plants. We call it gems of the flower. There are 1,200 species. You go to Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, Bangkok, any of these places, in one road you will find at least 7, 8 floriculturists selling the orchids and making money. Why we are not doing? We have so many beautiful orchids in our country. So many beautiful orchids are there. We are not doing anything. So far, what we have done again, make a photograph and describe this, how many stamens are there, how many petals are there. We don't need all this. He's writing the product diagram. What is the purpose? We don't know. Already it is well known. Your teachers teach the same thing, you write the same thing, you become teacher, you teach the same thing, nothing beyond that. So therefore, the attitude has to completely change. Now, this, for example, this orchid, the extreme right one, blue orchid, blue anda, the British botanist, when we were under the British rule, he comes to India near Cherrapunji area. Cherrapunji is the highest rainfall area. Tirupati area, and in 1 day's visit, he collects this particular plant almost equal to 7 men's headload. How much one person can carry, you can imagine he engaged 7 persons to collect this plant and take it to the European nursery. Today, after 100 years, you can survey the whole month, you will not get 7 plants. So in 100 years, the orchid wealth has come to that much. This drastic destruction. So therefore, what is left today, I think we have no further time now. It is right time, conserve those species, multiply those things, utilize those things for the benefit of human beings. I think there are, all these are very good orchids. So quickly I will go. Now, in the northeastern region, again, I told sacred forest, most of the area is barren in spite of the fact highly rainfall area, high rich. I don't know, some of the northeast students must be there here. If there are, you can raise your hand. Yes. Yes, one student I can see. Yes, in Meghalayan region, particularly when you go, it is the richest rainfall area, but there is no vegetation. It's all scanty like this, baldy hills and all that. Why? Because the heavy rainfall that falls goes to the plains of Bangladesh. There is no soil, top soil to hold the vegetation. There is no vegetation to hold the soil. So therefore, it has become a vicious circle. The entire water goes to the plains of Bangladesh and causing havoc every year. Now, but my point is, in some places, the right hand down, you can see dense vegetation is there. Dense vegetation which we are protected because of the religious beliefs. Some belief is attached in Meghalaya, particularly when you go, religious belief. What is that belief? Suppose you enter this forest and cut off some twig or tree, some devil will come and catch you, snake will come and bite you, your forefathers will curse you. Belief is attached, and that belief made this forest to survive for several thousands of years, because this information is percolated from one generation to other by oral folklore only. All these years, this belief has protected this forest, sacred forest. But today, in our own generation, the belief is eroded because the tribal boys and girls are studying in big places like Bangalore, Pune, Madras, all those places. They don't believe, what, no tiger will come, no serpent will come, I will cut. So the belief is eroded. Therefore, the existence of the sacred book is a matter of time, only a few more years. What is the uniqueness here? In this forest, you survey 1 kilometer, you are going to get 1,500 species in 1 kilometer, which is much more than the entire state of Rajasthan. What you get in the whole of Rajasthan, you get in 1 kilometer. That is the richness of northeastern diversity, but you have destroyed that diversity. Only some pockets are left here and there. So therefore, I call such form of vegetation as the relic to vegetation. What is a relic to vegetation? That existed at one time, entire area, but now it's only brought down to some patches. So relic, or also I can call it as living fossil community. I hope you all know living fossil community. Yes, yeah. I think this is the one. Say forest, for example, that's why I call they have become jet terms today. Their existence is only a time now. So they have become, so therefore they need to be protected. There are unique species. I will not read any of these things. Students, if they are interested, they can take. Each one of these plants are unique, which we don't get outside the sacred forest, but only you get in sacred forest, all these plants. Now there are the insectivorous plants are also there, very interesting, biologically curious plants. The right hand, that one is Nepenthes cassiana. This is an endemic plant. What is Nepenthes? The leaf tip gets modified into a pitcher, which contains a kind of digestive juice which can absorb the animal protein. Is that, I think some of you can see, back ones will not be seen, later on you can see. So it has got a digestive juice. It can absorb the animal protein. Now, it is a unique plant, biologically curious plant. If you go in the northeastern region, every person, every college, beautiful photograph, they are putting everything. This is endemic to Khasi Hills, so no other country has, and we are very proudly say that. But what is the use? Daily, if I see that plant, I don't fill my belly. I need money. So how do I utilize my money? So that is the one. The Japanese scientists are working on this plant to develop a medicine for peptic ulcer. From out of this juice, they are trying to develop a peptic ulcer, and we buy the medicine afterwards. But what are we doing? So therefore, this is high time that we should think of the property and go for bioprospection, right? Quickly. Now, this was very abundant at one time. This is me 50 years ago, 52 years ago. So, when I was in Shillong, all along you see here, this was so abundant, and I think it was Kasiana at that time. Today, all those areas have become potato fields. Everywhere potato fields have become. So we have converted all our interesting vegetation already have gone. So this, I always like to show this. Because if they, some 55 years ago, when I joined for service, all the seniors, my seniors used to say, the unique plant is Lilium macleanii, Sirohi lily, extremely critically endangered species. Only occurs in one pocket in Sirohi Hills in Manipur. Manipur, anybody is there, at least they know. Only in one pocket in Sirohi lily, it is called Sirohi lily, and it is critically endangered. Now 55 years ago, they are telling, even today also critically endangered. What we have done 55 years, we have done nothing. What is the problem then? When you know it is 55 years, if the critically endangered, biotechnology is there, you boast that I can do this, karo, multiply karo, start crore, multiply karo. Why are you not doing this? This is the problem today. So species are there, and this species, particular this Sirohi lily, is sold in the European garden for 13 pounds, 1,300 rupees one plant. In Sirohi lily is sold. Our plant, they are multiplying and making money, and we are not doing anything. Why? At least the young people should think what your seniors could not do. You please do this in the coming years. So this is the thing. At least it's not necessary that you should follow your seniors. Or you should also try to see how best I can utilize our bioresources. This is a good example. I have written all these things, and you can see those things. Skip all these things. I'll skip some of these things. You don't need all this. Only when you come to embassy, you will primitive angiosperms. All these are the primitive angiosperms. These are very beautiful. From Shillong to Cherrapunji, when you travel along the roadside, you find this Corylopsis himalayana, extremely beautiful plant. And here, this is a primitive flowering plant also. We should bring it to the man-made settings. Yes. Now I will come to the south, Western Ghat. In the Western Ghat, the northern part, I think Western Ghat must have visited many of you. In the northern part, when you go, southern part is you will see the big mountains. In the northern part, when you go, particularly Satara and beyond Maharashtra region, the mountains are flat up. Mountains are flat. They are not pointed, but they are flat. In those flat, you find the oceans of flowers, miles together. You will see in the month of September when you go. Now I will just show you one. This is impatiens. You can see it is a combination of Utricularia and Smithia. These are all the plants, and you can see the Utricularia. Ocean of Utricularia. You will find whole area will be, and impatiens lie whole area. And the moment you see, oh, so beautiful, you enjoy and come back. This beautiful plant, you see, we should utilize this plant. Beautiful is okay, beautiful is kuch nahi hoga humko. Is it not? So the point is, yes, it is beautiful, I agree. That beauty should utilize in making money. So multiply this plant. Go develop agrotechnology, nursery technique, in the taxonomy, the nurseryman, ecologists will all join together and develop this, and this plant will be available in all your college campus. Why it should not come? So this is the one that we should utilize. If this kind of things are developed, automatically India becomes rich based on bioresources, and one day will come, India can rule the entire world based on bioresources. Yes. Keystone species, I will not talk about. This plant, the first plant, is a plant which is extremely, it's a miraculous plant, I will call. Miraculous plant. Why it is? The fruits of this plant, this is Trichopa zillaricus, some 2-3 fruits of this, if you eat, please listen, if not at least tomorrow you can do 2-3 fruits. If you eat this, it gives you so much of strength and energy that without eating food for the whole day, you can carry 50 kg weight on your back and climb the Agastyamalai mountains. Is it not a miraculous plant? See, on a Ekadasi, when people are fasting, they will be sleeping. Now, here is a plant. One food you eat, it gives so much of energy. Is it not a miraculous plant? I call this as a miraculous plant. Why not utilize this miraculous plant, develop a global level product that should be available in Africa, America, Germany, Japan, everywhere. India can become that kind of product we should develop. You may take 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, but at the end of the day, one global level product comes. That is the greatest service we can do for our country. I think young people, not old people. Yes. Very quickly, I'm coming. This is again a classroom exercise for you. Your teacher must have told. In our Western Ghats, particularly when you go, there are large number of Himalayan plants, particularly the hilltops when you go, Nilgiri Hills. I think Ooty, everybody must have gone and enjoyed it, but they will not see the plant. They will go, good, but they will not see the plant. In Ooty, if you go, there are large number of plants which occurs in the Himalaya. How this Himalayan plant has come here? Has anybody thought? Now, during Pleistocene glaciation, there was heavy snow, very cold. At that time, most of the elements migrated towards the equator, that is South India, and the retreat of Pleistocene glaciation period, instead of going back to Himalaya, they all occupied on the hilltops of the South India. So therefore, most of these elements today we call Himalayan element as Pleistocene relics. What is a Pleistocene relic? In the interview, anybody will ask. If I sit there, I will ask tomorrow. So Pleistocene relics are there in the most of them. So therefore, Himalayan plants we find not only in our Western Ghats, even in Adam speaking Sri Lanka, same kind of flora. Himalayan plants are there. So that is one unique thing. I think these are all a big list I have given. Those of you are interested. These are all Pleistocene relics in the Himalayan flora. Now these are all I'm skipping. Excuse me now. In the mangrove area, all along the coastal area, we have mangroves. Now, what are the typical characters of mangroves? You must have studied in your class. They have nematophores, and then the vivipary, and then stilt roots. Stilt roots are which come. Which we can see the right side. Stilt roots. The stilt roots are so strong that the man-made bridges with iron and steel can be washed away during tsunami time, but not these mangroves. It is much stronger than man-made bridges. Identify such mangrove species, grow along the tsunami-prone areas. You can protect people. That is the one, right? Quickly we go. Now this plant from Andaman, the right side again down, is a gingiviferous plant. You crush the whole plant, apply to your body, and you can go and touch the beehives. It is a strong antidote for all these poisonous insects. Nothing will happen to you. So this is the wonderful plant. Go for a product development using such kinds of plants, right? Now, what is bioprospection? Therefore, I said we have resources are at our disposal and ethnic knowledge is there. What is ethnic knowledge? Ethnic knowledge of the Adivasi people. You use this plant, diabetes will be cured. You use this plant, cancer. That is the ethnic knowledge. Now, we have resources, we have ethnic knowledge, and everything is there, but products nahi hai. That is because the whole country is a very huge playground for us, but there are no players. This is a malady for us. No players. Who are the players? It is the biotechnologists are the players. Biotechnologists, unfortunately, do not know all this. And they do not want to merge with the taxonomists because biotechnologists consider them as allied scientists. What is allied scientists? Because they work with crores of equipment, crores of equipment, and the white coat and test tube and hold photograph like this and look like a scientist. Very big scientists they look like. And how taxonomists look? Taxonomy will be carrying a gunny bag and all the ditch and the nala, riverside, and he will be going. So these so-called allied scientists do not want to associate with the taxonomy. And until and unless there is a wedding between these two groups, bioprospection cannot progress in our country. Yes, now I come very quickly. Today, tailor-made species is possible. It is a tailor-made biotechnologist. You all know you can go and order a biotechnologist. I want a species like this. You take the tomato plant. You all know tomato plant. You take the gene from kaddu. Kaddu is pumpkin. Take the gene from pumpkin, put that in tomato, and make our tomato into a brick. Okay. When we do it, this is a tailor-made species. Yes, it is. There are biosweeteners, for example, biosweeteners are there. Biosweeteners are all anti-diabetic. Biosweeteners are there. Take the gene from biosweetener and transfer those genes into coffee or tea plant so that you need not have sugar. Very enjoy nicely. Now it appears to be a very nice idea. The projects will go 10 crore, 20 crore projects will go that we will develop a project like this. And poor fellows, the whole country, because public money, we all give money to the biotechnologies, and the whole country will be looking as that laddu will come. That laddu never comes. This is the problem. So this is what is happening in our country. I think what we need to do is uh, the other point is the ethnic knowledge in our country is so vast. 550 ethnic tribes are there. Every tribe is so rich. And we can straight away take that ethnic knowledge. Resources are there. Technology, the biotechnologies are available. So therefore, it is easy for us to develop products, but we are not doing. Now this is high time that in the coming years, all of you should, I think, young people should take up this as a challenging task. That is why I call it as a priority agenda today. And once you decide, yes, I will do, by the time the plant may not be there. So therefore, it is a priority agenda today that we should try to take up. Now, American scientists, I hope there are no American scientists here. American scientists are very good scientists, but crooked scientists. Why? Because I think, don't mind if I say crooked, yes, they are crooked. See, America is the only country which is not a member of the Rio Convention. There is convention called CBD, Convention on Biological Diversity. America is not a member. If you are a member of the Rio Convention, if you take the biodiversity of one country and develop a product, 50% of the royalty should go to the country of origin of that biodiversity. So therefore, they are not a member. They have gone to Gabon region in Africa, based on the ethnic knowledge, they have identified a plant, they have taken the plant, they have taken the knowledge, and by way of biosweetness, they are earning billions of dollars, but not $1 is reaching the local people. That's why we should be extremely careful with American science. They are intelligent, but we should be careful. They have taken the patent from plant-based patent from all the continents, not only from India, also even microorganisms they have taken. So therefore, we should be extremely careful with these people. Therefore, I have put in red, you can read this. My definition of bioprospection is conversion of traditional knowledge by making use of the modern science and technology and developing a product is bioprospection. It is not scanning the biodiversity alone, but converting the traditional knowledge into a product, making use of modern science and technology. That is bioprospection. I think this definition you should always remember. Yeah. I think this also I will skip. All this I will skip. And this also I will skip. I don't need. There are a large number of important plants. Yeah, no, it's okay. I can talk for many hours. I don't need water. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Now you see, these are all the plants from which you can take the gene and transfer it to any it's a cold resistant plants. These are all cold resistant genes are there, so you can plant. Now this is chili. Chili is, I think, northeastern somebody raised their hand. I think they must have seen this chili. Yes, this is chili. We are all familiar because daily we prepare sambar, chutney, and all that, right? And we buy 1 kg of chili. And in the northeastern region, this chili is so hot. One chili they take and tie that and immerse that in the sambar or rasam or whatever it is for 1 second, take it out, and tomorrow they use the same thing, Thursday, 4th day, 5th day. One chili is enough instead of buying 1 kg. Is it not a wonderful chili? If you want to make sambar, this is I need not buy 1 kg chili. 1 chili is sufficient. So if you are happy in eating chili, then you are satisfied and then be only eating sambar. But this property has been made use of by the DRDO people. This property of high pungency has been made use of by DRDO people in developing hand grenades. And once the hand grenades are bursted, if the terrorists are hiding 20-meter deep burrows, they cannot sustain them. All the terrorists caught in the Srinagar Valley during the last 6 to 10 years all come from this chili only. Is it not a wonderful plant? This is how you should try to utilize. That is bioprospection. Utilize it for your human good and also protect it in your country. That's the thing. That's the one you have to do. This is the plant I think I have written. This I have already told. Now, The last part, I think I will say this, I think my time is over now. Yeah. The last part is there. We have a large number of medicinal plants. You ask for diabetes. In Karnataka itself, there will be, I think, 100 plants will be there. This is good for diabetes, this is good for diabetes. You go to Nagaland, that is another 100 plants will be there. Go to Rajasthan, another 100 plants will be there. Now we have ample plants, diversity of plants for diabetes. Now I want to establish a pharmaceutical industry to develop a product for the anti-diabetic purpose. Now, if I ask anybody, I don't want 500 plants. Tell me 5 best plants so that I want to invest. You have no answer. With all this, we have not prioritized the important medicinal plant. We have not prioritized. We have not shortlisted the medicinal plant. Is it not again yes, very bad this thing? We have 500 plants. Which is the best plant? We don't know. So therefore, what is required today is prioritization of medicinal plants. 5 plants for cancer, 5 plants for diabetes, 5 plants for jaundice, and put your entire investment on those 5 plants, go for a product development, and ultimately you will be successful. Unfortunately, today what has happened? Mysore University, whatever the plants of diabetics are there, that fellow will work there. Kashmir fellow will work, whatever the plant is available there, and Rajasthan fellow will work on this plant without knowing which is the best plant, all at the cost of government of India money. We are all unfocused research we are doing, wasting our money and time, but you may publish a few papers and get a promotion, but no benefit at all. But if you go for a focused research, you can do. How do we do that? How do you shortlist? How do you prioritize this? It is again from ethnobotanical studies. What is ethnobotany? Study of ethnic knowledge of the local people. Now, I have given a list of plants here. This is a list of plants for jaundice. This is a list of plants for jaundice. This is Charaka Samhita. Charaka Samhita is a authoritative treatise on medicinal plants. Now, if you see this list, there is a Solanaceae, there is a Compositae, there is a Cyperaceae, there is a Zingiber, all botanically unrelated, phylogenetically unrelated, chemically unrelated plants are there. Now, you can imagine unrelated plants are being used as effective plants for jaundice. Now, it gives me a doubt. It gives me a doubt how, if A is good for jaundice, how B can also be, C can also be, D cannot be, this doubt comes. So therefore, I am not able to prioritize this. You go to the same thing in the story. Now, opposite of this, you come to the ethnic knowledge, traditional knowledge. Now, the same plant is used by all the tribes. A user, B user, C user, D user. For diabetes, one particular species, all the tribes, unconnected tribes also use the same plant for the same. So this gives me an indication it must be a very effective plant. I need not do scientific evaluation, even without doing scientific evaluation, because Kanyakumari people also use, Kashmir fellow user, Northeast Mizoram fellows also use. So therefore, since unrelated tribes use the same plant for the same ailment, it indicates the efficacy of that particular species. So therefore, even without going for scientific evaluation, I can shortlist such species as the prioritized species. So when you immediately go for ethnobotanical work, the moment you get a plant, this is diabetes, immediately scan through the literature and find out how many tribes are using this plant as a diabetic plant. That we should do. If 100 plants use, 100 tribes use this, yes, number 1. If 90 users, number 2. If 50 users, number 3. So depending upon the number of tribes, you can shortlist. That is what is called cross-cultural ethnobotany, which we have not attempted in our country. I hope the students should know cross-cultural ethnobotany is one area which is completely lagging. Only through cross-cultural ethnobotany we are able to. So this is the one efficacy. You can decide the efficacy of the plant. Why bioprospection not satisfactory? I think these are all important medicinal plants. I think I will skip for all these things. This also I will skip. Yes, here are bioprospection constraints. Now threats I will not talk because again I will have to dwell upon for a long time. There are large number of threats in our country which are all against our existing flora. And number one is the population pressure. People will always ask, yes, you need to protect plant or you need to protect a human being. This always question comes this. So I will say, why are you cutting this tree? And they say you want to say that you need this tree or the living place for the human beings. So because the population is increasing, now we have to find an answer for this. That is number one, population pressure. Second one, as I told, shifting agriculture. All these things are taking away much of our flora. The third one is very important, is now the invasive weeds. Invasive weeds means the weeds have come from some other country. They have occupied the entire area of our country. This is a big problem. For example, this plant, what is this plant? Huh? Parthenium. Do you know Parthenium? Yes, now everybody knows Parthenium. In 1972, when I was writing my PhD work, this plant was not in our country. 1972, this plant was not there. I was the first person to collect this plant and report this as a new record for our Karnataka. First person to even today. Now that indicates, now you can imagine this plant all along the railway line. In fact, shady places, shadeless places, everywhere when you go, just to travel, you will come to know it has occupied so much of area. At that time, I got only two plants near Pasimavani railway station, only two plants. And that was a new record I published. I was very happy and all that, but I never knew that this plant is going to become a menace, right? Now my question is, a plant 72, before 72, the whole area was occupied by our native plants. Which are those plants which have disappeared? Has anybody has got any idea? No one. Which are the native plants that have disappeared? We don't know. But Parthenium, everybody now you all think as Parthenium it is there. But 72, prior to 72, this species was not there. So to this extent, the native, the invasive species are acting on the native flora. So therefore, all these things are causing havoc to our country. Aquatic plants also the same thing. Brahmakamals also the same thing. Look at the selective removal. Brahmakamals is another one. Why priority agenda? I asked this question. I told because the flora and ethnic knowledge is eroding so fast that it has become a priority agenda. Yes. Criteria for world heritage. There are certain criteria for world heritage. And if you apply that criteria, many of the areas in our country qualify for this, declaring it as a world heritage, particularly the Northeast, some parts of Western Ghats. And therefore, we need to protect this as a world heritage site. Yes. Now, I thank large number of my students. That's a different thing. What is this? This old man. What is this old man? Any person artist fellow should be able to tell me what is this word? This remember it is from bamboo root. From this it is made, and look at this so beautiful they have made. I purchased this from Kunming in China, from China, and this is just an example for me that making use of our dead biodiversity. You can develop handicraft like this, you become rich and everybody will buy this. You can establish an entrepreneurship, train people, have your own industry, develop this. So making use of the bioresources, you can become richer, you can make money. So this is what my purpose is. That's why I just wrote this, right? Thank you so much. I think several of you. I think I have finished. Okay, thank you. If there are questions, what time now? Anytime you can discuss. My email is there. You can write to me. I will answer some of your questions. But otherwise, yes, I look forward to. I conduct lecture workshops in different places. You are all welcome to participate in those lecture workshops. You can attend so that you will also learn many more talks like this. Thank you.
Your description on Indian diversity was immaculate. The floor is now open for exercises.
Thank you.
You are all enjoying the nice fan and it only the speaker has no fan here. This is the problem. Yes. Okay, tell me. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful talk on medical plants. So I'm writing a review paper on the medical properties of orchids and its conservation strategies. So can you please advise me like how can I go through the like which review papers I can refer on the phytotherapeutic properties of orchids on the internet for my review paper? And can you please also suggest me a few journals which I can publish my review paper in? Very good journals, sir.
Yeah, I think if you want to publish anything that is related with ethnic knowledge, there is a journal in our own country we are bringing in from the Society of Ethnobotany, that is Journal of Ethnobotany. You can publish the orchids, not only orchids, any group you can publish, but it's connected with ethnic knowledge. Number one. The other one is, cultivation and other aspects. If you want to publish new record and other things, you can go to Redia, again a taxonomy journal. Okay, anything other question?
No, sir.
Okay.
Sir, I also want to like, can you please available review papers which I can go through to write my like the particular properties and orchards because I'm not able to get like certain proper review papers for my review work.
Proper reviewer you do not find that.
Yes, sir.
Why? What are you actually? MSc research scholar or
Sir,
peer?
I'm an NSC student, sir. I have to write a review paper.
Right, but then you should see the journal. There is a current science you take for our own current science, which comes from Bangalore. There is a list of reviewers. So be in touch with any of those fellows.
Okay, sir. Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
if they without reviewer, no journal will come.
Okay, sir.
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. Yeah, any other? Okay, Garal, I think in the last one like that. Fine. You come again.
Thank you, sir.
Come again.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Srinivasa. Thank you for this speech. I just have one doubt, sir. What was the plant name that you have mentioned which gives energy like, miraculous?
Lycopa silonicus.
What's the common name?
That is Jivani. That is a Kerala name because it occurs in Kerala. India also it is Jivani. Lycopa silonicus. Okay, yeah, you want to work on that plant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was interested.
Yes, okay. But it is protected species now. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay. I mean, if the students want to know, the slightly deeper question, excellent presentation, sir. I really thought of it. How do you think ecology and economy, can they go together? Or, like when we take up this approach of translating things to money, do you think it takes away from ecology? Like mining, whether it be for groundwater? And I know you have a elaborate response, but I think it's useful for the students to get that deeper feel of it also. How do we look at money? How does ecology translate to economy? And how to look at it?
All my entire discussion doesn't, pertain to taking the plants from nature. Ecology, we are not touching. All that you do is take the species, multiply in your laboratory and use it. No plant, you should never bring the plant from there's a beautiful plant, bring it and sell it. No. You multiply that, obtain a certificate that it is artificially developed. Only when you get the certificate, then you can sell it. Otherwise, you will be caught. It is not so easy to even sell plants these days. Under CITES convention, you will be caught. See, when you say it is a multiplied by me, the expert committee will come and see whether you have multiplied all these 5,000, 10,000 plants here. Have you multiplied by say, if it is a difficult rate, you will very easily you can say that all of them are the same age. You can find out. So you cannot go from the nature, any of these plants, but multiply it in one another. So ecology we do not want to disturb. Ecology we want to protect. Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Now, I would like to call Dr. Sophia, Lecturer Department of Biochemistry, to introduce our next speaker of the day, Ms. Shubha Ramachandran.
A very good morning. It's my immense pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Ms. Shubha Ramachandran, who leads the water team at Bio and Environmental Trust. Ms. Shubha Ramachandran holds a Bachelor of Engineering in Civil from IIT Mumbai. She has worked as a senior technical architect, project manager, and systems analyst at Infosys for 11 years. Ms. Shubha has designed and implemented several rainwater harvesting and wastewater treatment systems, primarily in and around the city of Bengaluru. She has been at Bio since 2008, working on understanding groundwater, wastewater, and wetlands. She is a TEDx speaker and has represented Bio at the World Water Week in Stockholm in 2019. I would also like to add a note that Ms. Shubha is a classical singer of Carnatic music and performs on festival occasions. On behalf of the Department of Botany and Biological Sciences, I welcome you, ma'am. Over to ma'am.
So good morning, everybody. Good morning. My sincere thanks to all of you present here for the invitation and for listening to it. And a sincere thanks to Dr. Rao too. I totally enjoyed the presentation and had many thoughts on how biodiversity, botany, all of that links to water. And here, while I speak of sustainable urban water management, I'd like some of you to think about a few questions that I bring up along the way. It's really about our awareness. How do we keep things local? How do we translate to action some of the thoughts and the knowledge that we have? Having said that, I'm speaking on behalf of Bioenvironmental Trust. That's just a snapshot of the work we do. It's a group of architects, engineers, doctors. It's a varied group of people, all of us looking to see how do we live sustainably in a city and what does that translate to in terms of action, not just personal action, community action. How do you create an entire ecosystem of service providers? For instance, when Dr. Rao spoke of the mangroves, can we imagine those mangroves as inland species? What difference would it make to our lakes? Can we bring them here? How do we take care of them? How do they propagate? So those are some of the questions that also interest us. But broadly to tell you, we work with local materials. How do I build my house with the mud that's available right there? How do I harvest my rain? How do I recharge groundwater? Similarly, as we spoke of resources today, there was this talk. All resources that we use today are largely mined. You must all be reading the newspapers or looking it up on various YouTube videos or WhatsApp videos about what's happening to Bangalore's groundwater. Our approach largely has been one of extraction. How do we rejuvenate, like Professor said? We don't take it from where it is, but we bring it and we try to propagate it, and then we see how can it be put to good use. So whether it be rainwater, groundwater, wastewater, how do we look at each of these not only as resources for ourselves, but especially in the case of surface water bodies, our rivers, as for all other biodiversity that exists there also. And how do we then manage this resource? So a few examples of the work we do, we actually try to put a lot of, the idea is to put knowledge to action and to do research-based action and take action back to research. So since we're speaking of Bangalore, we are naturally blessed with about 970 millimeters of rain. We are at an elevation which, despite the heat today and despite the fan not being there, actually keeps the temperature much cooler than various other parts of the country. We're sitting on two river basins, mind you, Kaveri and the Dakshin Pinakini. What sir spoke about today about the Pashchima Vahani River itself. The three rivers And despite all of this, if we are in a place where we are short of water, we really need to see what's going wrong and more importantly, what is the positive action that we can take. That's how Bangalore is situated. We are pumping the water from 100 kilometers away over an elevation of 500 meters. So that really makes us the city which is getting some of the most expensive water in the world. The water that we buy from the DWSSB at 6 to 8 rupees per 1,000 liters costs nearly 95 rupees per 1,000 liters of operational cost just to bring the water from its source to us. That's an important point to keep in mind. Our groundwater, which we extract from bore wells, has a cost to it. The groundwater that we extract from shallow open wells has a cost to it. Rainwater, on the contrary, falls on our heads for free. We just let it go, much like we do with all the biodiversity around us. That which comes to us easily, naturally, we have a tendency to look down upon it and look for resources that come from further away, oftentimes tagged with a better name. So that's the river. So that's how we bring our water from 100 kilometers away in these large pipes. Come rains, we flood, and there is water scarcity at the same time. So it's all of this that's playing out not only in our city, but in cities across the country. As part of Biome's work, we're working with multiple cities across the country now, and we see these same issues play themselves out. What has really changed? Why are we flooding? Why are groundwater tables falling lower? Largely, it's because of, like you can see, the increase in surface runoff. What we are doing is paving more and more of our surfaces, allowing lesser water to percolate into the ground. And the roads, the flyovers, the metro lines that we build, they're all increasing the runoff. And that water is to put those numbers in perspective. Now, if you look at a small plot, that's just a 30-40 plot, that's normally the site on which we build. Before construction, for a 60 millimeter shower, only about 660 liters of water would run off. Whereas now, just after construction, there is an additional runoff of 4,695 liters of water just for a 60 millimeter shower, mind you. Some of these numbers may not make sense to you, but just scroll down, come to the 1,000 square kilometers that Bangalore is. So before construction, where 6,000 million liters of water would run out, now we have an additional 21,000 million liters of water running off as rain, and all of this just for a 60 millimeter shower. So that's the kind of additional runoff that we are generating, which causes flooding and which we look upon as a problem, but which could actually be a resource. So very simple. Can we store and reuse rainwater? Just a few examples on how it can be done. It's simple. If the rooftop is clean, filter the water, store it in your sump, use it. Can we do it on small rooftops? Yes, you can start with something as small as a drum. This is a house very close to MG Road. The lady actually harvests 5,000 liters of water every time it rains. She cuts off her Kaveri connection, does not take external water anymore. Because each of the times that you're not taking Kaveri water, you're saving the state 95 minus 6 rupees per every 1,000 liters of water you consume. Because that's the additional cost of subsidy which the government is putting in to bring the water to you at a lower cost. Yeah? These are examples of people say it cannot be done aesthetically. There are very many aesthetic ways in which rainwater harvesting can be done. It doesn't have to be an individual home. This is a home. It's an apartment, a basement, a college campus, the RB College of Engineering. They have built a large sump. The chairs that you see is on top of the sump. That's the volume of water that can be stored and reused every time it rains. Even in an apartment with a basement, with not a lot of space available, rooftop rainwater is really the most cleanest form of water if filtered appropriately, stored and used. So these are all examples, larger rooftops, industries, colleges, everywhere there is a possibility of storing and reusing rainwater at an appropriate cost. Of course, you need to know your rainfall distribution. You need to know what end use you can put the water to. So this is just briefly the idea being to give you examples. Again, going back to our same example, if I take just a 30-40 house, and if they could harvest a fair number of rainy days of rainwater, they could get by for about 4 to 5 months of the year on rooftop rainwater alone. A larger row home on about a 50-80 plot can even have rainwater left over to share with neighbors. As you can see, it's 475 days of rooftop rainwater that they would be harvesting just by harvesting the rainwater that falls on their rooftop in Bangalore. Now we get to groundwater recharge. We've all been reading up about in the papers about how our groundwater tables are falling. Does anybody know how much we pay for groundwater or a tanker of water these days for every 1,000 liters? We used to pay about 100 rupees for every 1,000 liters of tanker water, which in turn is groundwater. Now the costs are going up to 200 to 300 rupees for every 1,000 liters of groundwater. Does that mean that if I have access to groundwater, I should extract it and sell it? No. And this is a very important point that I want to, and which was the question I asked her also about not necessarily about thinking it through very deeply, especially as students, to see the relationship between ecology and economy. These things are not at odds with each other, but there are ways of managing it wisely with citizen participation, government participation, rules, regulations, all of which has to work together very well. So simply put, we had wells, wells are going dry, shallow wells, even in our city, right next to your campus. Anybody knows the nearest lake from your campus? Can raise your hand. It's within walking distance from your campus. Just raise your hand and tell the name of the lake. Now, there's a Mestri Palya Kere right next to the BDA complex in Koramangala. And there are others too. And we would be happy what your ma'am mentioned about the lower Ambalipura lake. It's very strongly recommended that walk out, see the water bodies that exist, including open wells, which are there again right there in this Mestri Palya Kere, right next to your campus, but in this dimension. What can our imagination be of a well like this, which also exists? Can it really be there? Are there examples? That's what I'll share with you. So what has been our approach? If I don't find water, I dig deeper. How deep am I going? As deep as 2,000 feet. I go further away to get water. But am I looking to see how I can recharge my groundwater? Very simply, if I put the numbers, the rainfall that our city gets, which was the initial slide I put, is equivalent to, if I harvested all the rain that fell on the 1,000 square kilometers that Bangalore is, I would get water equivalent to 2,500 to 3,000 billion liters per day. Understand that? That's the equivalent. How much water do I need? It's 1,500, now it's gone up to about 2,600. And I'm extracting about 600 million liters of groundwater every day. I have the potential to recharge 2,500 to 3,000, way in excess of the water I'm extracting. But am I doing that? I'm not doing it. Why? Is it difficult? Yes, it is a little difficult, but can it be done? Yes, it can be, and those are the examples here. So very simply put, if I recharge my groundwater, I would reduce flooding, the excess water that I spoke about. I can also increase my groundwater intake. Our focus has been one on extraction. How do I extract it? How do I treat it? How do I transport it? How much do I pay for it? But am I paying as much attention to groundwater recharge? These are very simple structures. Here's what we can do. We have to recharge, flood our aquifers, keep it full of water. The structures that we are building right now across Bangalore are called recharge wells because not a lot of space is available. These are dug by the traditional well digging community. In small spaces, it could just be a 3 feet diameter and 20 feet deep structure that's dug, lined with rings, covered from on top. Can it be dug? And at the same time, there are very many beautiful old wells open across the city. We clean them up and fill. Can you imagine the size of this open well? That many people are standing right inside the open well. This is in a community on Banalghatta. And once the well is full, it's full of water. It's a source of water to you. Could also do something that's called direct bore well recharge. It's slightly more technical. Wherever there are old open bore wells, they could also be recharged. A few examples pictorially to tell you what it looks like. So in a home, this is the home of a gentleman who had access to municipality water, dug his own well, recharged it, and now uses open well water only for all his daily needs over the past 10 years. So the first 5 years of his life of the house, he recharged the well. Now the groundwater table in the entire area is up. He's able to manage water in his home. This is again, since we were speaking of Sarjapur Road today, this is a community on a road called Harlu Road. Here the other community members cannot believe this certain gentleman you see in the picture. He dug a well, he recharged it, managed to understand the aquifer in his area. Water tables are up. He's able to use it as a source of water. So it's important to meet people, talk to them, show them these examples. Here again, a case of an apartment which had a well which had gone dry where they were dumping sewage. They cleaned out that well, started recharging it, now did puja to it. A lot of what Sir spoke about the sacred growth, about it's not religion, but looking at our Devara Kadu, our wells, as probably, I mean, God's source might sound a little ethereal or out of this world, but these are things that nature has given us. How do we continue to manage this? And these are things for us to manage, safeguard, and upkeep for ourselves as well. So, real examples, this community is actually using this well water. People will say it's impossible for Bangalore to have open wells, but we know because we ourselves have dug 2.5 lakh wells across the city, recharging, cleaning up open wells with the sources of water. So in a layout, you can have recharge wells that looks like this. That's the case of the open well I showed you when it was full of water. That's how the well fills up with water, becomes the source of water in the layout. In public stormwater drains, below the metro, right on MG Road in Bangalore, you can do this. Even West State, this is in a school where they dug an open well, they do recharge, rainwater harvesting. It's a government school. Now that's a source of water for them. In water bodies, we can create groundwater recharge structures adjacent to our the Madiwala Lake. Despite it being a lake and there being a park, they were buying Kaveri water to water the plants in the park. By digging an open well, having access to clean water, they're able to manage watering. This is a park on Richmond Road. Here, two open wells have been dug, which is being used as a source of water. And this is to say, we took this example down to a town which is called Hulsmaranahalli, near the Devanahalli airport. Old open wells were rejuvenated, recharged. Now they are supplying close to 1 lakh liters of water per day to this town municipal council. And they are looking, and why open wells? Because the cost of pumping water from an open well is 2 to 3 rupees per 1,000 liters only. Simply because groundwater is then available to you at 10, 15, 20 feet below groundwater. We have below the ground level. So, a few examples. In many cases, this is near Sabina Plaza. We have a lot of seepage in basement. That's true in Koramangala too. Wells can be a very efficient way to deal with seepage in basements because what we've done is by digging so many basements across the city, what we have done is remove parts of our shallow aquifer itself. So now when water comes, it has no place to be because everything is a basement. We have single basement, double basement, triple basement, parking in the basement, gyms in the basement. But if you look at the seepage water, it is nothing but groundwater. When treated, it can be put to good use. Here is the case of this corporate office near Miller's Road. They are saving close to 1 lakh rupees per month simply by relying only on their groundwater, which earlier used to be seepage for them and where they had to pay to pump the water out. So here again, economics, ecology, can we just be smart, look around and see how these things can be put to good use? But as we did more and more of this groundwater work, we have a good understanding of Bangalore's geology and there is much better use. I heard you mention you have a geology department as well. How do we map our aquifers? Then how do we learn how to manage our aquifers? Can come out of this. But in doing all of this, like there were the tribals in the case of biodiversity, we have to remember the people because the way these activities are carried out should ensure that we are also providing livelihoods, equity, justice, social welfare to all the people involved in whatever we do. So here is the traditional community of well diggers with whom we work. So we're working with about 400 well digging families which had run out of jobs to do because they're not educated. All that they know is how to dig wells. But in the process, they have a good understanding of the hydrogeology of the place. So while they look at themselves as only as well diggers, what we also did with them is educated them in a way such that they can go out and now talk about the need to manage groundwater. They are able to represent themselves as well as groundwater in exhibition. Not only that, with their knowledge, we can understand there is a mapping exercise working with them to understand groundwater in various parts of the city. And this group, it may just look like a group of people, but here you have the head. This is inside the Cubbon Park metro station, where we've done a fair bit of educational work as well as managed seepage in the Cubbon Park metro station, as well as managed water requirements for the Cubbon Park. So there are well diggers, there's the BWSSP senior officials, there are senior officials from the Srishti College. So it's a bunch, multiple stakeholders when they come together, work together to understand what are the resources, what are the challenges, various solutions can be found. So there are artists, scientists, hydrogeologists, students, well diggers, educated, illiterate, doctorates, all people together, but working to work on the strengths that each person brings in, working in a positive way to see what are the solutions. Communication is a very important part, whether it be online. We have a website called urbanwaters.in. Those of you who are interested, various cities are adding themselves to talk about groundwater. Events such as these, actually outdoor events, are very important to understand what happens. We speak on social media. I'll share the links later. These are the murals that were made in the Kabban Park metro station with the soil that came out from digging wells in Kabban Park. 73 recharge wells were dug, 6 open wells were revived, 3 tanks were revived in the Kabban Park, spread over 200 acres. And here, this tells you the story of Bangalore's water. Blue was the only other color that was used. So art plays a major role in taking any message forward. And if you can make it as relevant or as real as possible, it goes a long way. So I would welcome you all to visit the Kabban Park metro station. Information is very important. What are the rules and regulations? What are the laws pertaining to rainwater harvesting, for instance? Who do I contact? Let's say I want to dig a well, I want to get my water quality tested, I want to call these well diggers. So we created these repository, like in the case of biodiversity, you may need the list of nurseries, gardens, all of this is equally important. So information is important. It's important to monitor and report the information that. I'd like to highlight this. So what started off as a small project in Bangalore, and this is really to tell you about scale. We now call it a program for 1 million wells in Bangalore. And that has taken, and which is really about a program to inspire behavior change and get people to manage their shallow aquifer better. But this then got picked up by the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs and is being rolled out in 10 cities across the country. So some of the students who are kind of phasing off, the reason I'm bringing the slide up is to tell you that any small effort that you make, if you persist with it, there is an opportunity to take it, why not only at a national level, at a global level, or even at a neighborhood level, where now there is a movement across the country to revive and manage our shallow aquifer better. Starting with 10 cities across the country, 24, 25, we're going to 20 cities. And in the next 5 years, as part of the Amrit mission for the country, it's going to be rolled out in 500 towns and cities across the country, the management of our shallow aquifer. Lake conservation comes easily. This is the lake that your ma'am mentioned about the lower Ambedipura. Similar for me, you can tell me whenever I have to stop. I'm happy to stop. I know the students have to go to other things, but I'm happy to share as well. So what do we understand? So when we talk of lakes in the city, and in fact, biodiversity in the city also, a lot of it is perhaps man-made, what we are putting in place. And so we have a tendency to look at it from a perspective of how does it benefit me? If there is a lake, of what benefit is it to me? So here are some of the benefits. It provides flood control, does groundwater recharge, adds to biodiversity. You think, why biodiversity? Is that of benefit to me? Or is this there for its sake? And that's an important thing to think about. Is nature there for its sake? Is it for our sake? And how do we look at it? Because that affects a lot of our actions. Grass cutting, there's still grass cutters, there are fishermen who work at the lakes. We have to work with them to ensure that the normal species of fish they grow are katla, rohu, those mirgal, which are available in the fisheries. But what about our native fishes? Are there other marine life forms that can also exist in these inland water bodies? What are they? How do you further propagate them? Fishing, roving are religious purposes, and we are increasingly also looking at lakes as living labs. What does it mean to be a living lab? And you can look at water quality, air quality, the quality of all the life forms that exist in and around the water body. But like I said, the starting point is even knowing that there are these lakes. How do I tell people that there are these lakes? So this is just a wall on a road called Tharadu Road, and this is just opposite an auto stand. And on the wall, there is a map of the Sarjapur Road, the Outer Ring Road, the 11 lakes that are available within a 3-kilometer radius from just this point. You would be surprised to see that the auto drivers took interest in this. Some people, not everybody, was interested to know where are these lakes. They actually asked the auto drivers when they were free on a Sunday to go look at these lakes. It may seem as a simple thing to do, but it can have wide ramifications in terms of just people being interested, curious, wanting to participate, and then taking things forward. So knowing your lake, knowing that there are various stakeholders, many times we only see people who are jogging around the lake. And we imagine that everybody is an urban person who's living in an apartment, or they are largely looking at the lake as an alternative to a mall. Maybe a mall I go and shop, I have to spend money. A lake I can walk around, get good fresh air, a nice environment. I don't even have to spend money. But there are actually fishermen there who look at it for their livelihood, and hence who are in an urban context safeguarders of the lake. How do we work with all of the stakeholders? So we look at this way of participatory lake management. How do we get all stakeholders to come together, create their collective vision for the lake, then work with the government to make sure that that collective vision is implemented. Maintenance is a very important part. Who maintains and why? And does that pay them? Do they have to be paid? We are all aware of and that was the reason why I brought up plastics. Many small things that we do, it could just be a gift wrap that we do. It's unlikely that it's going to be put to good use anywhere else. And that actually comes and clogs many of our lakes. The city is burdened with a kind of waste. So solid waste management is very important. You all must have learned, but many times it really is about simple things like taking public transport where possible, taking the bus, cycling, or really even at the point of looking a little weird, saying, no, I don't want plastic water, I'd rather go thirsty. No, I'm not going to use detergents that could potentially pollute the water bodies. So, and some of these calls, because we are all so what do you say, in ways that we go by the practice that we've always seen. Like if I use a certain oil to fry my papad, I don't see why I should use any other oil, even though somebody may tell me it's better or worse. So behavior change is very important. For that products to be available, for that an environment to be created is all very important. So maintenance is an important part. Monitoring is where students are very helpful. We've had monitoring exercise in terms of water quality, so it invite, or also events at the lake. How do we get more people to just know that these, and what are the kind of events? Are there, so here the weeds that grow in the lake out of wastewater, can you make handicrafts out of that? Can you get better of that? Can that be sold? Can that be used as fodder? All of these things need to be considered. So what we see works well for any solution is, and for you to keep in mind is Samaj, Sarkar, and Bazaar. So what we say Samaj is all of us, so which is made up of workers, bird watchers, cyclists, academic institutions, that's society. And then there's Sarkar. Of course, the government institutions are important. But the bazaar, which is really the marketplace of all the service providers, who we sometimes look at as the bad guys who are in business, but that's not so. Because when you're able to integrate Samaj, Sarkar, and bazaar, because the fishermen, let me give you an example. Let's say if I have a lake, right? What does the fisherman want? That there should be many fishes in the lake so that he can buy it and sell. At what cost is fish then? 200 rupees a kilo, right? But what happens when there are many fishes in the lake? Who else comes other than the fishermen? Who comes to the lake? The birds come, right? And which are the bigger birds that we like to see? The painted storks, the pelicans. They also come. How much fish do they eat in a day? About 4 kilos of fish. If I translated that to money, how much is that? 4 into 200, 800 rupees of fish is what a pretty bird can eat in a single day. What does that mean? Loss of revenue for the fisherman. So does the fisherman want the birds or does not want the birds? How do you strike these balances? What role does the government play? Can we put treated wastewater into our lakes? These are the questions that work at the intersectionalities of Samaj, Sarkar, and Bazaar, which have opportunities to be productive, useful, economically viable solutions. I'm not giving you all the answers to everything, but some of you students who are paying attention, just think of some of these things and see how you may want to participate. Similarly, these are some of the best practices, native trees, conservation zones, wetlands. These are unique opportunities right in our neighborhood to understand all these biomes a lot better, urban biodiversity. Now, wastewater. Can it be treated? Can it be put to reuse? Do we have enough space? Our STP is the only solution. So a few quick examples. In a home, what do I do? Can I quickly put this back to you? So these are small systems that we set up in individual homes to treat only grey water. That is water that has soap in it from a bath, washing machine. Treated. So there's no home that's set up. That reed bed that you see is dry. It's only stones, but when it grows, those are the plants that can actually treat the wastewater. The wastewater then is collected in that near the banana clump. You see a small storage unit. That's the pump from where it's pumped and used in the garden, all in a very small space. Now, if I take it further and say, can I only use it to water my plant? So this is an experiment we tried out in our office. what we did is, so our office also doubles as a home. So there's a washing machine, people take bath. Just that bath water was treated through the same reed because it's a small house in drum. And then a plastic sheet was placed on the roof. All of this, mind you, on a 30-40 roof with 8 inches of soil, watered with water from the washing machine. Rice was grown. So this is an example of these activities happening on the roof. And just on a 1,000 square feet plot, can you believe in one harvest how many kilos of rice we got? So we got 30 to 35 kilos of rice in just 4 months. And that means 100 kilos of rice, mind you, not paddy, over the period of a year, just on a 30-40 rooftop. This does not mean that everybody has to do this, but this is just to bring to you thought that it can be done. So, for instance, all the green spaces that we see around our city, what should our imagination be? Is it only for pretty flowers? Of course, we like beauty. Can it be for food? Do we need food security? What kind of food do we want to grow? What kind of food do we want to eat? Can it be a place of jackfruit, mangoes, guavas, rice, millets? How do we, and in the process, we also look to learn to grow these species ourselves. So that's just an example to show you. We actually collected the rice, harvested, milled it, and saw the theory, and that's the next crop waiting to be planted again. And the thought was, how circular can we keep all of this? Do I need a garden? No, I can just do it in very small spaces on the roof. So since we are a group of architects, also we are continuously innovating to see how do you fit these solutions into an urban setting. Example now, going forward, obviously not all of us have homes, some of us live in apartments. What kind of STPs can we have? Can they be nature-based sewage treatment plants? This is a community with a nature-based sewage treatment plant. What was planted like this, the same thing you saw in the home, grew to be these canna bouquet. And those are officials from the Pollution Control Board, from the Water Supply and Storage Board, who come to visit this system. Now, this community is not only able to reuse the wastewater for its own gardening, it also sells it to a neighboring farmer who is looking for water in an otherwise parched Bangalore and who is willing to pay for this. So wastewater has increasing potential to be reused. In a few examples, similarly in apartments, what happens to a sewage that comes out? How much of it is our responsibility to treat and reuse it? So in apartments, it's being used for flushing, landscapes. But in the case of a certain apartment, here is the example where it is also being let in to fill an otherwise dry lake. And that's a project that we're taking up across Bangalore. We generate close to 1,500 million liters of wastewater every day. Now there is a project to transport 1,200 million liters of that treated water to the drought-prone districts of Kolar, Chikballapur, and Anekal, and fill the dry lakes in that area. And as a result of which, we are seeing the water tables improving. So here are just those examples. This is again an apartment letting in its treated wastewater into a lake, further treating the water using wetlands, floating wetlands. And like I said, there are opportunities then where these wetland species are taken to build other artifacts that can be subsequently sold or turned into compost. Just a few examples. And that's really an example for how you could perhaps close the circle. There are the apartments generating wastewater. There are the homes. I showed you how you could grow rice. How do you treat the wastewater? Then let it into our neighboring water bodies, being very careful of the water quality. That again drives the kind of choices that we make in terms of the chemicals that we use and recharge in the groundwater tables. Again, a very simple example here, we spoke of the water, but how about the sanitation thing? So in many places, you will see these honeysuckers that take away sludge from septic tanks, soak pits, dump it, they pump it out. It has eliminated the need for manual scavenging. It is then let out and dried in fields where the farmer turns it into compost. There are mechanisms for doing that. And then they grow their crops. We've also been looking at the nutrient analysis because the whole idea is, can we look at a circular city? Is it possible that a city that takes its water from 100 kilometers away, what water does it send out? What sewage does it send out? Can that be used to grow food for the city itself? Because then when we realize that we're using the same vegetables that which is grown in the soil that we send out, we would be very much more mindful of the chemicals, of the waste, of the solid waste that we send out. Only when we close the loop very circularly, because right now, what is the thing? We think our waste goes far away. Our waste goes far away. But we bring our water from far away. The people who come to work here come from far away. All the problems are sent far away. All the solutions come from far away. But does it have to be like that? Can we close our loops as closely as possible? So here, farmers who grow bananas, banana crops. We've actually analyzed these banana crops as well and looked at various ways in which farmers in the periphery of the city are utilizing wastewater. What is very important in this context is how do you account for health risk? Who is at risk? Is it the farmer? Is it the person eating the vegetable? Is it the vegetable seller? And how do you make sure that their health risks are assessed? And what I mentioned to you right at the beginning, all of this then boils down to the cost of water. So a short quiz, since I spoke to you, what is the cost of bringing water to the city from far away? Anybody? I mentioned it earlier. That it's at about 95 rupees per 1,000 liters. Cost of bringing tanker water is going 200 to 300 rupees per 1,000 liters. Cost of actually pumping water from that borewell, yeah, which is 1,000 to 2,000 feet deep, is at about 30 to 35 rupees per 1,000 liters. Cost of rainwater, free. Cost of open well water, 2 to 3 rupees for pumping water from an open well, that's only 15 to 20 rupees. So economics, ecology, how do we close all of these loops? So this is my final set of slides. This is what I spoke to you about, wastewater, treated wastewater from Bangalore being pumped to the neighboring districts. This is a dam called a reservoir called the Lakshmi Sagara. From here by gravity, it flows to fill other lakes. These are open wells in the area that are now filling up with water, which is promoting the farmers to grow other crops. And here's a project that we've done right in Devanahalli next to the airport. So there's a kere called the Sihinir Kere that was dry. The lake is now filled with treated wastewater, which has resulted in the neighboring open well being full of water. Working with the Indian Institute of Science, we'll be monitoring the water quality in the lake, in the open well, and also some structures that are called filter bore wells. Set up a water treatment plant. Now to this city, this town actually of Devanahalli, which needs about 6 lakh liters of water every day, where 140 bore wells have gone dry. This open well is providing 2 lakh liters per day, really closing the loop very circularly. And this is also a project that is bringing people from across the country to come and see how can we close our water loop as quickly as possible. So really, what is water responsibility? It's about putting water back as close to where I got it from in as good a quality as I got it from. And how do I institutionalize this responsibility? By caring about the water, to observe the problems that exist, to recognize it, engage with a larger community. And this is not only for water, it's for biodiversity, waste, any problem. This really is the circle of responsibility. It's like how you would take care of your children. So you're not just saying, okay, I gave my child good tiffin, so now he's going to be a good kid. No, I give him tiffin, I send him to a good school, I make sure he has good friends, I teach him to be responsible or her to be responsible, and I fix problems when they arise. That really is the circle of responsibility. So while our imagination or reality is this, and there are a lot of elements there for those of you who can read it. There are our deforested lands, dams and reservoirs, industrial agriculture, hydropower, wastewater and streams. That could be our alternative imagination. The green picture is the alternative imagination. In each, and it's not really alternative because it was always there. But again, it's not about praising the past and saying that that's the only way. There is somewhere in between where the knowledge that we have got, we have these ethnic information that's also available to us. How do we put it all together, bring it to good use, being very responsible about everything that I do and taking it at a very personal level and then engaging with our community. Right? More information on everything that we do is available on our website, on our Facebook page, Instagram handle, Twitter. We try to be active on all of these. And we really think, like again, sir mentioned, that it's really about the future. Some of us have done it quite long. We are a lot older. We can share with you what has been done. But there are numerous solutions waiting to be done. And we are very happy as an organization to always engage with youngsters to see opportunities for internships, volunteering. And we may not be able, because we are a small group ourselves, we may not be able to be very actively engaged with you, but we're certainly happy to engage with you on an idea level, connect you with other players in this field, and looking for you to be self-motivated and take a lot of these ideas forward. So thank you very much and hope.
Person for the subject, 80 sessions, if we get the value. The floor is now open for questions.
and MSc.
And in my home, there was recently a water shortage. And like we are having an app which is used to like check the like how much water is being used in our home. I stay in Sarjapur Road. So ma'am, like can we suggest like a good infrastructure, a good methodology which can be put in place to ensure that the water is conserved and is given to the right level, so we don't have to like face this issue ever again.
So it's a good thing. It's talking about an app. So water metering, some of the things I didn't speak about is our water demand itself. How much water do we need? So right now, if you go by the bylaws, a city like Bangalore, which has sewage system, every person is expected to need 135 liters per person per day. Whereas if you go to rural areas, people are expected to need only 50 to 80 liters per person per day. So what is it that we do so differently in a city that we need 135, 150? In fact, in some of the more affluent communities that we work with, people use up to 1,000 liters per person per day. Just mind you the numbers, okay? 1,000 liters per person per day. So that's a tricky thing with money. What do we do as we get rich? We want to use more resources. We not only water, our affinity to use resources goes up. So to answer your question very simply, water metering is a good way to monitor the amount of water that we use. Now, there are systems that can be implemented in homes, apartments. In fact, the Bangalore Water Supply and Sewerage Board, when you get water from the Kaveri, every connection is metered and you pay for the water you use. So there is also something called the pro-poor policy. So we think a good lever to control water usage is when you pay for the water you use, especially if you pay the true cost of water, which none of us really pay. So if we could pay the true cost, not only of water, but any resource that we would use, it would make us very mindful of our consumption. But on a very regular day-to-day level, it is about the small things you learned in school, like don't brush with your tap left on, or try and use as less water as possible. When you're bathing, don't waste water. Try and reuse water where possible. Those are the things that can ensure that less water is consumed.
Thank you, ma'am.
That's right.
Fine. So I'm Shweta from the community. So, though there are so many benefits in terms of why we are
Yeah, I'll respond to her question. Her question is if we are really digging so many wells and doing recharge, why is there a water scarcity? Obviously, we're not doing enough, right? It's like we can say that we have so much food is grown, why is there food scarcity? There is not enough or it's not being managed well. So just to bring your attention again, I said we need a million wells for Bangalore. A million is 10 lakh wells. We estimate, and estimation itself is very difficult, but we estimate that we have been influential in digging about 2.5 lakh wells in Bangalore. And we have to get to 10 lakhs. So 7.5 lakh more wells is what we need. The numbers that I put on the screen, equivalent of 2,500 to 3,000 million liters per day, water is what has to be recharged. So if we could do recharge at that scale, and there are examples where this has worked. So there are some communities which have undertaken, let's say the IIM Bangalore campus. So this when we're looking at groundwater. So when we look at water, we have rainwater, groundwater, wastewater, surface water, and Kaveri water that's coming to us. It's really about managing all of these sources. But to give you examples, some of those examples where I showed you where people were pumping water. So there's a community called Classic Orchards on Banarghata Road. They are managing their groundwater very well by doing recharge. Kaban Park has dug these 73 recharge wells. IIM Bangalore. There are places in the city where the groundwater table has actually risen as a result of these activities. But when you look at a city scale, there are of course pockets and there are large parts where the effort is insufficient and hence there is water scarcity.
How does it recharge? Where the water comes?
How do you know where to recharge it? Okay, so then is that the question? Like how,
Where the water comes from?
where is the, okay. So water exists below the ground. Very simply at a layman's level, we call it groundwater. There is time, I don't mind. You can bring back the slide. So Bangalore's geology. So we have a topsoil, which is from our ground to 10 feet. We have what is called the weathered zone, which contributes to a shallow aquifer. There you can imagine soil rocks that have weathered over a period of time. You've turned sandy, again to put in a layman's language, which has the potential to hold water. And that's where a lot of our water comes from. And then we have the deeper aquifers, which is why when we dig bore wells, we break rock and get water. Let me show you a good question, and we have much more elaborate examples. Yeah, this. So deep inside the rock, so just to put it in perspective, here we have what is called the, right on top, you have what is the topsoil, which is only about say 3.2 up to 10 feet depth. Below that, we have the shallow aquifer. That's where water is held, and below that are the deep rock in which there are cracks and fissures in which water is held. So when we dig a bore well, that's where we get this water from. As we dig deeper, what we realize is there are not as many cracks and fissures into the ground. In fact, at about 600 to 800 feet is where most of the cracks and fissures are there. Still now, people keep digging deeper and deeper. What happens is you have access for right access to this water because nobody else has taken this water out. But as you go deeper, like you look right at the bottom, there's bedrock. So there is no water available beyond a certain point. How do you prospect water? There are ways. So hydrogeologists are involved. There's also a process called water divining, which is ethnic in its way, where people are able to detect water resources. But to make an aquifer map of this nature, which is something that we did in a participatory way on Sarjapura Road, that's something that can be done with a lot of data collection to understand the aquifer and the availability of water in a particular area. Simple answer, hydrogeologists can do it for you, water diviners can do it for you, but people can also come up with an aquifer map. Now, so yeah, those are canna. We have a whole, so those are plants that you would normally see growing in a wetland. They are called typha reed, cypress. Canna does very well. In fact, I don't know the specific botanical name, but those cannas that have yellow on their leaves, you see that they actually improve the water quality a lot more. So the species we work with are these Chinese umbrella, typha, cypress, and canna. But there are a lot of other species and which we have documented. If you go to the website I mentioned, urbanwaters.in, there is a section called resources, under which we have primers. In primers, we have something called a wetland primer, and where we have experimented with various wetland species to see how they improve water quality. They could be rooted, floating, completely rooted land species, so various species, and how do they improve water quality. And
I invite achievement for the distribution of certificates of government.
For the quiz, we have in the first place Asta Vandana and Irene Ann. And in the second place, we have seasonal goals and sales and planning. So the defect, in the first place, we have Bentley fabric, and in the second, we have seasonal. For the crossword, we have Sejal Kamal and Hedvisha in the first place, and Asta Vandana and Devashika goes to the second place. For the escape mode, we have Dia Sridhar and Twinkle Maria in the first place, Irene and Devika goes to the second place. For the poster making, we have Sejal Kamal in the first place and Zoya Mimik in the second place. For the photography, we have Manjushri and Krishna in the first place and Shiva in the second place. For the sketching, we have Zoya in the first place and Kushbu Herring in the second place. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Now, we call Pratika to deliver oath of office.
As we draw the curtains on this remarkable event, I'm filled with gratitude and appreciation for the incredible journey we have upon together. On behalf of the Department of Botany and MSc Biological Sciences, Jyotirniwas College Autonomous, I extend my heartfelt thanks to each and every one of you for your invaluable contributions and unwavering support. First and foremost, I would like to express our deepest gratitude to our resource persons, Dr. R. Raghavendra Rao, INSA Honorary Secretary Scientist, and Mrs. Shubha Ramchandran, Water Sustainability Consultant at Biome Environmental Solutions, for sharing their expertise, insights, and passion with us. Your wisdom and dedication have enriched our discussion and inspired us to strive for excellence in all our endeavors. I would like to thank our principal, Dr. Sister Mary Reza Sebastian, for giving us this wonderful opportunity. A special thanks to our director, Dr. Sister Lalita Thomas, Postgraduate Center, for her constant support and guidance. I would like to thank our administrator, Sister Rosie, for her enthusiastic encouragement. I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our IQAC coordinator, Dr. Carol Stanley, for bringing out the best for this event. A special thanks to our controller of examination, Dr. Lata V, for her unflinching support. A special word of thanks goes out to our coordinators, Dr. Priyadarshini Pillai, HOD Department of Botany, Dr. Mohana B, Assistant Professor, all the faculty members from the Department of Biological Sciences, teaching and non-teaching staff, and the hardworking volunteers who have worked tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure the smooth execution of every aspect of this event. A special thanks to the technical support team. Last but certainly not least, I would like to thank the students from MSc Biological Sciences and all other combinations for your active participation, engagement, and enthusiasm throughout the event. Your presence has brought energy, vitality, and diversity to our discussions, and we are grateful for the opportunity to learn and grow together. A very special thanks to the final year BSc BTBO students, Ms. Chaitra, Haziba, Hema, Triveni, and BSc BOZL student, Ms. Khushbu, for their planning and coordination of this event. As we reflect on the accomplishments of this event, let us carry forward the spirit of collaboration, innovation, and commitment to excellence that has defined our time together. May the connection we have forged and the ideas we have shared to continue to inspire positive change in our communities and beyond. Once again, thank you to everyone who has played a part in making their event a grand success. Thank you and have a great day.